You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 406, Unpacking the Illusion of Time Abundance and Money Scarcity with Sarah Walton. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. I am so looking forward to bringing Sarah Walton back. Yes, she has been a guest on the podcast, and she really brought it. I not only heard from you and how much you loved her first episode, but I truly enjoyed the conversation and knew that we had so much more to have a conversation about and value to bring to you. So I invited her back. And if you have not already listened to her previous episode, be sure to put it in your playlist queue. It is episode 347, Plugging into Money and Abundance with Sarah Walton. Again, that's going to be episode 347, and you can find that at amberdelagarza.com/347. All right, well, if you haven't heard of her, let's go ahead and do a proper introduction. Sarah Walton is a business coach and sales expert who has been featured on the Today Show, speaks at women's conferences all over the world, and has helped hundreds of women start and grow businesses they love. She works with a handful of one-on-one clients, runs effortless sales, and leads her exclusive Abundance Academy for women in business. She's the voice behind the Game On Girlfriend podcast and the face of Sarah Uncut on YouTube, making her the go-to source for no-nonsense business coaching and real-life mind-blowing abundance. Through her success coaching businesses, which she designed to put more money in the hands of women, Sarah's transitioned from being just another coach to being a change maker. It's time to put more money in the hands of more women, and Sarah's all in on that mission. Before we jump in, just a quick invitation and reminder that if you have not already taken my Next Level Business Owner quiz, be sure to do so. Hit pause, 3 minutes. You are going to take a short quiz to find out what's most holding you back from taking your business to the next level. And then you'll get a curated playlist of specific episodes that address those challenges inside your inbox. We have over 400 episodes. Do not get overwhelmed or lost in the episodes. Make sure that if you are newer here, that you are listening to the actual episodes that are going to have the biggest impact on where your business is now. You can take that quiz by heading on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now let's meet our guest and get to the straight talk. Welcome back, Sarah. How are you?
Amber, I'm wonderful. I am so stinking excited to be with you again. How are you doing?
Good. You're so kind. I was thinking of, who have I really enjoyed talking to? In case anyone else is listening, no insult there, but I just truly enjoyed our chemistry and our back and forth and just your depth of knowledge and what value you brought to our audience last time we chatted.
Love it.
And I invited you back because we wanted to talk about our experiences as coaches in our own domain of, for me, focusing so much on time, and for you on money mindset. And they are not silos that do not they overlap majorly.
Yes. They're so
yes. For those of you that can't see, she's crossing her fingers, and they just
so connected.
Really show up very similarly and often together of mindset blocks or scarcity. We'll call it scarcity around time and scarcity around money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Sarah. So I'm going to tee it off to you. So you talk to business owners every day about getting out of their own way, improving their mindset with money and sales. When did you, or what's an example of you realizing that people were also talking about time scarcity when they were having this work done with you about money scarcity?
Gosh, that is such a good question. When did I figure that out? I don't remember an exact moment, but I do think there's a book by Kyle Cease called The Illusion of Money. And in that book, he talks about how we have this illusion that money is finite. And he said, it's like you're on a hike and you get thirsty. And your hiking partner takes your cup, goes around the bend and finds this massive waterfall, fills up your cup, comes back, and you don't see the waterfall, right? So in your mind, the cup, what's in the cup is all there is. When in fact, there's this infinite well of water available. You just haven't seen it yet. And that to me is money, right? And when people are like, yeah, but where does the money come from? I'm like, from wherever it is right now. Like somebody has it right now. It's out there. Right? Like, what are you talking about? Like it's circulating around us 24/7. It's always available, right? So that to me is the infinite nature of money. And I remember reading that book and really understanding that and then recognizing that so many people have it that time is infinite and money is finite when it actually is the reverse.
Yes. I did not know where you were going with this example.
You're like, what
but
is she
I'm
talking about?
Yeah. I'm like, no. Time is fixed, but you're right.
Yeah.
How people spend, we're going to say spend, how people blow right through their time is like they have an abundance of it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And then they'll go save their dollars.
Yes.
Thinking there's never going to be more dollars to replace them.
And it's totally backwards, right? There's an infinite source of money. Money is always circulating the planet. Always, always, always. It's always there. And time is the only resource we cannot replenish. And so I think once we figured out we've got those wires crossed, a lot of things start to change and people start to understand how freaking precious every minute is and that we don't waste those because we can't get them back.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think.
So I'm going to share with you my aha of the connection. Again, I don't have a specific time and I can't think of the client, but it was more of a pattern. And I think you probably see the pattern too with your clients. But the pattern was that the belief that the only way to make money is a trade for time.
Correct. Right.
And that connection of if you see the world or you see your services or you see your business as in I can only make money if I'm trading time, and that they do there's only so many hours in the day, then there's only so much money I can make.
Right.
And
they get locked in.
Yes. And then when there's that vicious loop or conversation and chatter in our brains, there's never enough time. There's never going to be enough time. Then, of course, there's never going to be enough opportunity to make money or to create. And so really shifting, we've always heard the saying, time is money.
That's
right? Like it's almost like these sayings can be a double-edged sword. They're either going to help you in your mindset or they're going to hurt you. But if that's the only way in which you see providing value to the world as a trade for time, then you're right. It is a finite resource.
Yep, that's exactly right. And it is those kinds of phrases that have messed us up. That's completely inaccurate. Time and money have nothing to do with each other. And both of them, by the way, are completely man-made constructs. Right? Like a squirrel has never been late for a meeting. That's not a thing. Like we've made this up, right? It's just not, that's not real. Like the way that we keep track of time, right? So this idea that time could somehow be attached to something that's infinite is impossible.
Yes.
And yet in our limited view as humans, we view them as deeply connected. They are not. They are not connected. Value and money are connected, right? And sometimes we value time, but what I say about money is it always flows to where the perceived value is highest. And please note the word perceived. Again, not real in the eyes of the beholder, right? The fact that I freaking love Starbucks and I pay $8 for a cup of coffee that costs 5 cents is ridiculous, right? There is no
Yes.
logic
And
in that.
I agree with you
It's
because I do not
insanity.
perceive that value.
Right, but there's
Yes.
the value. I love walking in there. I love how it smells. I love holding the cup. I love
Yeah.
shopping while I have the cup. Like there's this whole thing that happens in my head that is not based in reality, but that's where the money's going to flow. And that has nothing to do with time. And so that idea, like we need to just disconnect these two and put them in their proper categories. And I think that really frees people up to want to get more creative about how to make money, but also to do it in a completely different time frame.
I just had an aha.
Oh, tell me.
I
Oh,
just
I
had
love
an
it.
aha. Okay.
Hit me.
So time is actually finite. We all have 24 hours. But when I help clients with time, the disconnect is that it's so abstract, right? Like you don't see time, you don't feel time. And part of the work that I do is have them actually visualize time. And most people need to see, say, on their calendar or something. And that is the switch between abstract and concrete. Money is abstract, but we think it's concrete with the dollars in our bank account. Like it again, we're looking at each one and we're looking at it the opposite way of what it really is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got it really messed up.
Yes.
We really do. And I think that there's so much freedom in that, right? As soon as you can like wrap your head around that, it's like, well, wait a sec. Okay, so what do I want to do about this? And then it can get really, really fun and a lot more fluid, right? Like it's not quite so rigid in how you make money or the time that you spend creating something that makes money or working in something that makes money. It starts to kind of free up those connections in our brains. And I think that's so exciting because that's when creativity comes in and that's when you can create something of really incredible value for someone that you can sell over and over and over and over and over while you're playing with your kids or doing whatever.
All right. So what if a client says, great, I understand, I'm buying into it's a value trade, but it's going to take time to create that value, to level up that service, to build the team, to do whatever it is in the business to provide this exceptional value trade for a currency of money.
Mm-hmm.
How does that cross over with time scarcity of not feeling like maybe they don't have enough time to then create the thing that is going to be traded for value?
Ooh, that is such a great question. And there's a lot of different philosophies about that. But as you were asking the question, I was remembering a really great book. I mean, I'd have to think about it because I read it like 10 years ago and I want to make sure it's still relevant, but it was called The Lean Startup. Mm-hmm. And the idea is you go to market with a minimal viable product, an MVP, just as minimal as you can get it. Like you just think, what problem am I solving and how do I help someone solve it? End of list. And you go and you start solving that problem for people right away because that's how you learn anyway. And I think the question you asked is fantastic. And if you're going after, I used to do a lot of work with venture capitalists, right? If you're going after something that, you're looking for $6 million of funding and you want to hire 15 people, that's a different conversation. But that even the person who gets there got there because they've tested their idea. Mm-hmm. They've taken one courageous step after the next courageous step, which is let me give it to this person. Let me get that feedback sucked, that stung. Let me try it again. And I really loved that in the lean startup of just this idea that if you don't invest a boatload of time in what you think it is, you actually save time. If you instead immediately jump out and try, you can save decades. Because you will figure out where you need to pivot so fast. And so I think it's really this fear, honestly, there's a couple fears in the question of it's I don't have time, right? That we hide behind. And one is, I believe, a fear of being seen starting small. Like we're living in, the social media world of like, I've got 9 million followers. How many do you have? And like, that has nothing to do with how much money somebody makes, by the way. And so people get nervous to start with, 3 people and a dog following them or trying something out on their cousin or like whatever it is that they're doing to try to launch something. They're very scared about that. And I can understand that, but it's going to block the abundance that's available both through the business and through the value that you can provide people. And the only way to perfect an idea or to make sure an idea actually has value, that you're solving a problem people actually want solved. Like it might be a big deal to you, maybe no one else cares, right? Like really tapping into that and understanding that is that the only way to get those answers is to start imperfectly. And we have such a fear of that in our world right now, of doing something incorrectly or not giving ourselves time to perfect something when the only way to perfect something is to try it. And the analogy I always give, my clients or anybody who's worried is, someone comes to me and says, I want to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, great, go right now and record something. And they're like, right? And I'm like, they're like, I have to research the camera. I have to get a thing. I have to put it, right? And I'm like, no. And who's going to be more successful? The person who flips their phone around and starts right now? Or the person who spends 6 months investigating all of that and doing nothing? And that's how you learn. The only way you're going to figure out that the lighting sucked is that you go ahead and record it and you're like, well, that didn't go well, but I'm still going to put it up because the content was great. And then the next time you fix the lighting, and then the next time you fix the audio, and then the next time you fix your background. I mean, it took me 3 years to get my background the way that it is right now. And if you saw how many lights were in here, you'd be dizzy. Some of my first videos are heinous, right? But it's something I can do now turnkey anytime I want, all the time, only because we started with what we had and we just kept going. And I think that's how we deal with that. I want to call it a lie. We'll call it a fib. That fib of, but I have to get all this done first. You do not. You have to get to market and you've got to test.
Yes, this was a lesson I had to learn myself, because in my unchecked self, I want to do all the research, do all the check boxes. I want to have it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to do all that and still suck a few times before I was like, so all that research didn't actually help that much. Like in your example, it was already years ago, but I mean, I started this podcast in 2017. So we'll call it several years ago. I was doing some sort of, throwback, and I had to listen to old episodes, and I fell off my own chair laughing at myself. How awful. Absolutely awful. My first, I don't know, maybe it was a year of episodes. I mean, even my interviews, I wish somebody would have told me, if somebody would have told me, interviewing is actually a skill, then I probably would have practiced it all and still sucked at it. No, I just sucked at it with no practice because nobody said that's an actual skill. Like, this was so bad. And I had done the checklist and the research and the whatever. And I can give you a few other examples. And to your point, it's so freeing to be like, no, start a beta. If that makes you feel better, call it a beta, charge X, create the program, why you're getting paid, do the thing, why you still suck, and you're going to get better. And this is rooted in what I would say the layer under time, which is like true productivity is what's the ROI. It's not about just checking the things off the list.
That's right.
And so I had to learn maybe the harder way, and now I am totally very similar to not similar. I have to be honest, like I still have to say, don't overthink it, just do it. Like I'm still having that self-talk. It's not like magically one day you're different. It's just I know better. I know, to your point, a better time investment is there are so many things that are learned, or the right things are learned, when you do the thing instead of just trying to read about the thing and do the checklist. Yes.
Oh my God, there's so much power in what you just said. If that changes one person's life, I can die happy, because that is such a big deal. That is such a big deal. And we've made it hard for each other, which is such a shame. The public shaming, and it's still, by the way, the thing people don't talk about enough is that happens even when you think everything's perfect, right? Like it's the freaking worst. I'll say something like, let me help you make your first $100,000 in my Abundance Academy. And someone's like, did you brush your hair today? I'm like, what? Why are you focused on you know what I mean? Like people are just going to keep doing that. It doesn't matter. And I think building up that internal well of both courage and self-trust to just keep going. There's always going to be an asshat who's going to be, talking about something that doesn't have anything to do with what you're doing. And that's more about them than you. And we can say that. It still sucks. But if you can trust yourself to get up and keep going and continue to learn, it really starts to become easier. And it's like, oh, that happened. And then you also start to notice that only happens when you get good. And then it's like, oh, dang, that's actually a road mark. That's so awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then you're like, bring it. Yeah.
And I celebrate a different thing. So I celebrate, like, in my mind, when I first started my business back in 2010, was like, okay, I'm going to learn these things and then everything's going to be easier afterwards. Like that was my mentality, right? And once I started getting comfortable with the dance of being uncomfortable, it's like, oh, if I'm comfortable for too long, we're not growing, we're not trying new things, we're not falling, we're not, failing. And to build up that courage, to build up that confidence takes doing it hard for a while until you realize, oh, so it's not ever meant to be like you just always have it figured out somehow, some way. No, we're always, to me, I think that being a business owner is all about learning and growing both personally, professionally, putting yourself in new arenas. But what's not there now in my stage of business is the negative self-talk, the stress, the identity shift. Like if a launch fails, it's, oh, I'm terrible. I'm like, that was a really shitty launch.
What did we learn,
Interesting.
people?
Yeah. Before, and early on, it's like, I suck. The business is tanking. Like, what does this mean about me? Like the whole thing. And just having to work the paces. And I think I'll speak for myself. If anyone listening, we can shortcut that to be a shorter time where you can separate your identity from, oh, that's interesting. That was a shitty launch. Okay. What are we going to learn to do it again next time? Or whatever that looks like.
That's such a big deal. I think that shift you're talking about, I call that the looking at the business as its own entity. I learned this a long time ago. I think this is relevant here. But a long time ago, this idea that when you're in a romantic relationship, there are actually three entities in the relationship. There's the two people and then the relationship itself. And that when you're struggling in a relationship, you actually say, okay, what does the relationship need us to do? What would the relationship have us do? And that takes that like pressure off the people in the relationship to go, well, the relationship would want me to be honest with you about XYZ, or the relationship would want me to tell you that hurt my, it sort of like takes the pressure off, right? And I realized people were doing that in business, to your point.
Yes.
Where it's like, you are not the business. And when you're working in the business, you need to ask yourself, you are in a relationship with the business. What does the business need me to do today? Well, the business is always going to need you to bring in revenue. So go figure that out. Oh, okay. Right? It's go ahead.
I have never heard that about relationships, but what anyone that's listening that I've worked with will be like, oh my gosh, Amber has told me that 100 times.
Really?
So yes,
I love that.
In a coaching session, whatever the opportunity is. So you just put it in the container of sales. I use it as, what does the business need? Because if we think of, I need to hire somebody, that's scary and hard. I think I can't do that. Like, I'm not ready for that. Oh, but is that what the business needs? I got to fire somebody. Well, no, that's not you firing. It's they're no longer a fit for the business. What does the business need? Does the business need strategy? Does it need financial resources? Just that little degree of separation from the I to what does the business need. I ask it all the time. What does the business need? Business owners often, I say it's like mama bear, right? Like if my kid needs something, I'm right there. I got it. Like, right?
Yeah.
Well, we feel the same way about our businesses. So when you say, what does the business need? You're like, oh, well, the business needs X, Y, and Z. That's it. That's what's going to happen. But if I were to say, so what do you want to do about this employee? Well, it's not a right time and the holidays are coming and maybe I should give them a 15th chance. What does the business need? Well, the business needs someone that can fill the role. Great.
Right.
Now it makes it just that much distance between yourself, your own identity, to be able to move through decisive decision and action.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
No, that was a great example.
I love that. Of course, this is why we love each other, Amber, because of course you're saying that to people, right? We did not prep this interview. We're like, let's just jump in. And it's like, of course we're saying the same things. I love it so much. But I love too the different angles. I mean, it just goes back to your expertise on time and my expertise on money and how much inside of business, this is why I love business so much, is how much of us as individuals we have to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of our perspectives and mindset issues and hidden beliefs, unspoken beliefs, like how many of these do we need to uncover to make sure this is going to work the way we need it to work? And I think these kinds of conversations are so helpful because everybody takes something a little bit different, but it's probably what they need based on what they're struggling with right now. And I think if we can just be open to the idea that we all have this stuff, we all come like to business with these backpacks on already, and some are heavier than others, but we're like pulling stuff out all the time, right? It's a big deal to recognize that we're actually carrying that weight and it's slowing us down and it's causing harm. And, just to go back to time really quickly, I think another way that we can really damage our business and waste time is comparison. I think that is one of the most wasteful, harmful things we can do. Just had to
Yes.
throw that in
And
there.
that was the example that you gave earlier of like, the person that has 9 million followers. And does that actually translate to making an income that impacts their family in a significant way? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
But our brains want to compare our start to their wherever they're at in their journey.
Right. And it's just not helpful. I mean, what I love to say to people about that too is, you got to do the math on your own business. How much are you charging for whatever it is you're charging, right? And how many people do you actually have to work with every year? And when I really sit people down, most people it's 30 human beings need to pass through their business a year. Sometimes it's 50. If they're selling smaller objects like physical products, sometimes it's 1,000. I'm like, okay. So why do you care how many followers you have? Like what? It's like what? People say that to me all the time. They're like, you don't like work on your social media following. I'm like, people want to follow me because they find me and they find it valuable. That's awesome. But I don't need 10,000 followers. I need 30. Right. And a
Me
lot of
too.
the time, yeah, that's about right. Right. It's like, oh, well,
Mhm.
then where's the pressure? Oh, it's gone. And then I just get to show up as I want to show up, the way I want to show up. And then the people that resonates with, they're the ones who find me, and it's perfect. Right? Because I'm not chasing a game that's invisible that you guys have no idea. Oh my God, my favorite. Can I just vent for a hot second?
Go for it.
Oh, heavens help us all. Okay. So there's this thing people do, right? Who have a lot of followers are like, I just did a 7-figure launch. Do you know how many of those people spent more money than they made to hit that number? It's like 90%. And we just want to understand that. This is why it's so important not to look around at what other people are doing, because you have no idea what's actually happening. And people are like, I made 1.2, they spent 1.7 and they're screwed, right? It happens all the time. And that's why,
sometimes they don't even know they spent the 1.7 because they're not even looking at their numbers.
because they're too scared. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that is
Just
not the
to add
person you
on
follow.
to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're totally right. That's 100% accurate. And I think this is why it's so important. Like, if you want to be the person where people are like, damn, that was new, that was groundbreaking. You can't do that if you're trying to copy other people. You can't. Now you're just disappearing into, the fabric of the universe, right? Like, but if you are head down, managing your time with love and attention and intention, right? Because it's so finite. Tracking the money and noticing how much is flying around the world that you would love to have access to. So you sit down and you say, okay, what's the value here from me to the world, to the 30 people who need me? And that's all you do. That's how you break your industry. That's how you create the thing where people are like, damn, have you seen this new thing out there? You can't do it by looking at what other people are doing and hoping you can do it better. You got to do your thing. And then understand that even out there in the world, when there are a lot of people doing what you do, because there always will be, right? There's no one painter. There's no one artist. That's ridiculous, right? And I love this idea, but like, I don't know about you. You can't like throw a cat without hitting an Italian restaurant in my town, right? So it's like, but it's unbelievable how many, it's like, oh my God, how many Italian restaurants can one town have? But we go to this one for the pizza. We go to that one for the chicken parm. We go to this one for the bread. We go to that one for the meatballs or what. Like, you have to understand, even when there are a lot, what you're producing inside of it is different. And if you're too busy following what other people are doing, you can't produce what's different. And you're going to waste a lot of time and you're going to waste a lot of money.
Yes. When your clients have these breakthroughs on abundance of money and sales, do you find that they invest their time differently? Like
Totally.
once money's flowing, you've used these words, access, money's flowing all around you. Once you figure out what it is that you want to attract, now money is no longer the main bottleneck and pain point. It's flowing freely. Now they have time freedom? I don't know. I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, great question. Yes,
Yeah.
they do, because when you are a CEO of a business, and I don't care if it's you alone or you and 800,000 people, right? When you are the CEO of a business that's making money, a business that's profitable, you know those numbers cold, because it is where you put your attention is where things expand, right? So
Mhm.
you're watching the revenue, you know your P&L, you understand your profitability, all that's happening. You know what your job is. And your number one job is to make sure the revenue continues. That's one job. And when you can do that one job, you can be done by noon. You can be done by 11. If you're doing that one job well, if you know the one job is inviting, I'm just going to make something up, inviting people on Instagram stories to book a discovery call because XYZ happened to that client last night. or yesterday or over the last year, that's your job for the day. The end, right? Because your job is to fill up those appointments. Your job is to make sure sales calls are getting booked. And then you go play with your kids, right? Because you are now focused and intentional on the one thing that's going to move the needle. And you don't have to run around like a chicken with your head cut off, worrying about what Susie down the street is doing or what. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you're doing the one thing that is keeping your business viable. And that provides time.
Yes. This is not what we said we were going to talk about today, but I'm going to just ask. We'll go in a different direction for a moment. Does the business owner always have to be the one responsible for sales? So this is piggybacking what you just said.
I love it. Yeah. No.
Okay.
I actually let me give you the short answer.
I had a feeling that was your answer, but I didn't hear that in your example. So I want to just make sure we're saying that for our listeners. That not.
You're smart, Amber. No wonder you're so great at what you do. You're so smart. No, that was actually really great. And I appreciate you doing that. When I say your responsibility as sales, it could be that your responsibility is hiring the right salespeople.
Yes.
Right. And I actually just had this conversation. I have two women who run a business. It's the cutest business ever. And they were having this conversation with me with their team. And they're like, we're so embarrassed because they're like, how about this? How about that? And like, we feel like we're supposed to know everything. And I was like, oh, no. That's not your job at all. Your job is to hire the people who know the things. That's your job. Mm-hmm. Right. Because that's how you keep the business profitable. And so I was like, no, your job is to know what questions to ask the person that is responsible for that, what questions you need to ask them to get them excited, to get them challenged, to get them, to have some skin in the game and like go out there and produce. That's your job, right? So it depends on the size of your organization and what's happening. But no, actually thinking it all has to be you is one of the ways we mess things up.
Yeah.
And that being said, overhiring is also one of the ways we mess things up. Right? You've got to know, this is why I say, your numbers cold. Like if you know where your profitability is and you're like, okay, I'm now the bottleneck on sales. Like for whatever reasons, let's say you have a 50% close rate and great salespeople have a 90% close rate. You're like, this is not for me to be doing anymore. That's when you look at that and you go, okay, do we have the profitability to bring someone in and pay them on commission or whatever? And that person's going to knock it out of the park and you'll pay them their commission every single day because you're making more money. So you want to think about it strategically and not just blindly do it. But no, it doesn't have to be you. You have to make the decisions. You have to make the call. You have to make sure that part of the P&L is being taken care of because you're the CEO. But that doesn't mean you have to be the person doing the actual work. Great question. I'm so glad you clarified that.
No, I'm so glad you clarified that. That's great. All right. So next, we kind of jumped into this conversation with the context of scarcity with money and scarcity with time. And I just want to circle back to that because scarcity with time shows up differently. So talk to me about scarcity with money. We just assumed like I hold on to it, there's not enough of it. But is there an opposite side of it of where it's all the money that is received is just spent? They're not actually looking at profitability. You kind of mentioned this of like the launch that's 1.7 and they made 1.2. Isn't that just the other side of the coin of the same scarcity challenge around money?
Oh, yeah, it's all scarcity. Yeah, because when you're living in abundance, especially when you're running a business in abundance, you're never afraid of your numbers. And the reason is, there's always more money. So let's be honest, right? Okay, let's take it out of money for a hot second, because I would imagine most of our listeners are women, yeah? And every woman on planet Earth has been on a diet. Can we just be honest about that, right? Yeah. So what is the first thing any reputable nutrition diet would have you do? You track what you eat. And damn well, you stop tracking when you go off the rails because you don't want to look at it. You know it. We've all done it. Like, I didn't have 5 ding dongs. That didn't happen, right? So I didn't try. I don't know, right? That's exactly what you do. When you're cheating, right? And we call it cheating, but you're actually living in scarcity, even in dieting, right? You've restrained so much. You're terrified you're going to have to live in that restraint, so you sneak. Spending acts the exact same way in our brains. I can't spend. You're just going to go blow it. You can't help it. You're a person. But if instead you're looking at it going, this is amazing. Now, this month is a little tight. I can see it coming. And by the way, this happens to all of us. Cash flow goes up and down. It happens, right? But how great is it when you're looking at it and you go, okay, I am not digging the numbers coming in right now. We need to pull back on spending here. And I'm going to try to do a cash infusion here. Let's see if we can get this back on track. You can't do that if you're living in scarcity. Because if you're living in scarcity, you don't want to look. You just freak out. And then that makes everything worse. And you just spend what you don't have, or you let the train freaking hit you. And now you're like, well, I'm laying on the ground. I got hit by that train. Like that month sucked. And now you have to pick yourself up, pick up the damn, right? And then that keeps you in scarcity as opposed to, I'm really smart. And a really smart CEO knows where their numbers are without fear. And, I happen to believe that the true definition of confidence is trusting yourself to figure it out. And if you can trust yourself to figure it out, you're not afraid, right? You really can just jump in and know these numbers are not where I want them to be. Oh, I'm so grateful I know that. Because I'm going to figure that out. It's when you have a lack of faith in yourself and you have a drop in confidence and you're eating ding dongs, right? Because you're spending shit you're spending money you don't have, right? That's when you know you're in scarcity because abundance doesn't behave that way. Abundance is relaxed. Abundance is intentional. Abundance is liberating. And it's very focused and it's very easy. It sounds like those are counterintuitive. They're not. Like, how great it is when you're just focused, like you're in the zone. It's so easy. You might do like this big Herculean task, but you're just in it and you just do it and you do the next thing and the next thing. And when we treat our money that way, when we look at our business revenue that way, when we look at our P&Ls that way, it's so much easier. It sounds counterintuitive, but it is so much easier because you can make really informed, beautiful, simple decisions to keep yourself in abundance.
I'm so
did
glad.
I answer your question?
Yes. Actually,
Okay.
I don't even remember the question, but you answered it. Okay. But everything you said was so good. And the reason I don't remember the question is because I'm like, I have so much to respond to. That was so great. Let me say this. I love that you just clarified the feeling of abundance, the experience of abundance. But this isn't just we have different thoughts, we changed our mindset, and so we're not going to show up strategically. We don't need to look at our P&L, that we don't need to be strategic. You're saying this is coupled all the time, that in fact, changing your mindset along with action or inaction, if you're trying to curb the spending, is what you're advocating for.
That's right. Yeah, because that's an abundance mindset. You're not scared. We only overspend when we're terrified. We overspend when we're in scarcity.
And the same thing is true for time. No, I'm just
totally
saying
believe
the
you.
same thing is true for time. So taking it back to your example, one of the first things that I have my clients do is track their time. And again, just the exercise of tracking the time to your example is you might not eat that Oreo cookie. Like you're like, well, I have to write it down and I don't want to write it down, so I'm not going to do it. Or that's when it goes off the rails is I'm not actually wanting to document how wasteful I am of my time, right? And so there becomes judgment. And the approach that I like my clients to do is like, it's just data. So whether you ate the Oreo cookie or the Twinkies, I don't care. All we're doing is documenting it. And that is work. Like that's mindset work to ask them to track their time and to not let themselves tell these stories to make them stop doing the thing that we need, which is data. I just need to understand where they are spending or investing their time. Now, just as someone never looks at their P&L or doesn't look at the bank account or has no idea what cash is coming in, that is how time is spent as well. If I asked you what you did this morning, I asked you what you did yesterday or last week, we don't know. But then now we make these statements that affect our mindset around time is there's never enough time. You're going off of feelings versus data. And it's whatever loop or conversation we're having in our heads.
Yeah.
So I like to have them track time to actually do the exact opposite of what they think it's going to do. And I know this about numbers too and P&L. Is it's actually incredibly empowering because now that you know, you get to make a different decision.
That's right. That's right.
And the reason we don't want to track time is we don't want to actually see all those micro decisions
just like we don't want to look at the P&L because we don't want to see what is actually happening financially in the business.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But it's necessary. It's necessary to see your P&L. It's necessary to see where your time is being invested, not for judgment, but to choose what you want to invest your time in.
Yep. 100%. That's it. I mean, it's like, if you don't know, you can't address it. It's like, it's like trying to say, I'm not going to get lost and refusing to use a map. It's like, well, good luck. I mean, I don't know how that works, but like, you're going to get lost. And you got a map. So what are you doing? It's literally that
And then
simple.
when you get lost, then you get lost, you're like, oh, I'm not bad at directions. I don't know how to find my place. Like, and
There
then you
must be
say all
something
the
wrong
things
with me. Yeah.
totally wrong with me. And then all the stories, and you're like, or you could have used the map and you would have gotten exactly where you wanted to be really quick and effectively and efficiently.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just funny. I mean, humans, we are just funny. And I think if we can have a lot of self-compassion there,
Yes.
and just recognize, we are running from fear so often, and we're living at a time, let's be honest, we're living at a time where the whole freaking world has access to us through our weapons of mass distraction. That's what I call our phones, right? We have like this just incredible access, and a lot of it's fearful. Like, I think we have to have a lot of compassion for that. And so what that can do is train us to just be scared. And we're all posturing and running around like we're fine, right? And just to have a little bit of compassion for that, of like, of course it's scary to look at your P&L sometimes. You ate the Oreos, like, but not looking at it doesn't help. It just doesn't help. And so honoring that fear and just having some compassion for all of us who are living terrified right now on so many different levels. And like, that is such a human condition at the moment. And that you don't want to fall into that as a habitual way of living. And I think if we can kind of love up on ourselves a little bit and be like, I want to take back the reins just a little bit here and take this one next courageous step.
Yes. Giving grace to yourself will allow you to, I believe, take back control of that chatter in your head. It's almost the antidote, because our chatter is never like, good job, Amber. Good job, Sarah.
You're
really,
amazing.
Yes, you really spent that money amazingly. And man, your time, you just made every decision correct. Like, you could have done that, but then your brain's like, okay, yeah, good job, next thing.
That's right.
What your brain's going to do is circle on, oh my gosh, how did I get here? How am I paying my bills? What does this mean? How did I go through all this money and not know? Versus, but now I'm choosing to know. Now I'm choosing to look at the P&L. Now, have grace with yourself that you get to make different decisions moving forward. Our work is very similar in different arenas. I am assuming that it's not now you just always do better. I know that's not the true for my clients or my life. It is backsliding. That's part of it. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. Yeah. Maybe you take another 2 steps. Like, everyone's journey is different. And part of the grace is realizing that it's not just one trajectory of, great, now I know. And I just suddenly everything is fixed in the business.
Oh, that magical thinking, I call that entrepreneur porn. Like, that is such BS, right? Like, no. If anybody's like, I'll solve your problem in 3 easy steps, it's like, oh God, run as fast as you can. Yes. That is not the human experience. That is not how this works. But what we can do is also understand. I love talking about this. Can I take a second to talk about the brain? I'm such a nerd.
Yes.
But I love the brain so much. Okay. So our brain takes up 80% of our body's energy every day. It just does. It's running the show, right? And so it takes up 80% of our body's energy sources on a daily basis. And its job in doing that is to constantly try to be more efficient. And the way that it does that is creating habit, right? Is having you insta-thought. Like, you have a thought, you take an action, right? Before you know it, your finger's in your mouth and you're pulling on your fingernails, or whatever your habits are. You're like, why am I drunk again? Or, oh my God, I got off the phone with my mom and I'm in the pantry. How did I get here? All of that is like your brain. Oh, did we hit home? We hit home for some people.
Real life example. This is so good, Sarah. Okay, yeah. How did that happen?
You're like, that happened at noon. Were you in my house? Yeah. Okay. So that happens because the brain is constantly seeking efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So if it watches you do something a couple times, it will work very hard to make those synapses. For those of you who can't see me, I have my 2 fingers apart and I'm going to connect my fingertips, right? So it brings the synapses together. So they're now connected. So it's like boom, boom. And it has no idea if the synapse it just created is causing harm or is beneficial. It does not know. It simply goes for efficiency. And so when we start to bend those, I'm now pulling my fingers apart, when we try to bend that physiological, this is a physical, in the real world, tangible pathway that's created in the brain. When we start to pull that apart, it goes, but wait, you're not being efficient. And so it tries to recalibrate it and get back in there in a different way. And you're actually literally fighting something that's physical. And it takes a full 67 days for that synapse to stop firing. But the rub is the pathway will never be erased because the brain doesn't do that, because it knows one day you might want to go back into that pantry, right? It's like it knows, right? So it's keeping it there. It's easier for you on the daily because you've slowed down the process between your thought, I suck, I'm stupid, and quitting or abandoning your process or starting over like everybody does, or running around rewriting your about page for the 59th time because you know what I mean? Whatever it is that we do, you've now slowed that process down. And that gives you the freedom to start to do something different. But we've got to understand the system we're working against so that we don't judge ourselves when it does backslide, because it's designed to backslide. Like the diligence it takes and the compassion it takes to continue on when you slide is everything. Because the only way we succeed is to not give in when we fail. That's it. You want the recipe for success? Get up. End of list, right? It's like you've just got to keep getting up when it gets hard. You've got to keep getting up when you make a mistake and learning from that. While having the compassion for the actual physiological system you are up against in your own human body.
So the practice of being aware of what those patterns are and then evaluating, are they serving me or not serving me?
Mm-hmm.
Then making the choice that you want to break them. And it's not one choice, Sarah. It's 67 days of choice, maybe even longer. It's choice. You make that choice day in and day out.
And sometimes several times a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes. I always say productivity is a choice, and a choice we make many times a day. Like I can be productive in the morning and not in the evening. I could vice versa. So yes, the same saying is you're going to make that choice over and over again. My question to you is, when you backslide, does it start the 67 days over?
It can. It depends on how deep the backslide was.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it could be that you reacted immediately, but then you caught yourself. Probably not that bad. Might be 68 days, right? But if it's like, it goes on for 3 or 4 days and you didn't realize, which is, by the way, happens, right? You're like, oh my God, I started biting my nails again, right? Or whatever, those habits, those things we pick up. I started overspending again. I haven't looked at my P&L every day. Those sorts of things start coming back in, then you can reset the clock. It'll be easier, right? Because it's already a little spongy, but you will probably reset the clock. So it really is about diligence, and it can sound exhausting when I say that. And what I always tell people is it's actually about how you're feeling. Your feelings will give you the indication faster than you trying to monitor all of your thoughts and trying to make sure everything's lined up and you're breaking your synapses. And like, if you go by how you're feeling, if you are feeling still and calm and empowered, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
If you start to feel a little frenetic and antsy and anxious, you're probably off track. So let that guide you, and then you can break it down from there. It's a lot easier.
So I have a great example of that. I explain it. So multitasking, we all know, is not, it's like scientifically data. There's been so many studies. We actually don't multitask. It's switch tasking, but it's incredibly inefficient. We can intellectually know that, but what is our default, right? Our default is to try and do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
I am not immune to this. This has been my life's work for 15 years. And I always say the way I know that I'm falling back to an old habit that's not serving me is my shoulders are tense, my hands are clammy. Energetically, I can see a shift, and then I'll look around. I'm like, oh, there's 42 tabs open, and I have multiple screens, and I'm going back and forth. And it's like, well, you got here so naturally, even though intellectually you know that it's not helpful, it's not efficient, it's not productive. But I have to go with the trigger, to your point, is I can be more aware of how I feel. And then it's almost like, oh, now I open my eyes. No, my eyes were open. I was working, but they weren't open because I didn't check in with my body to be like, oh, I'm defaulting to multitasking again.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I mean, isn't it interesting, Amber? I think it's so fascinating. Doesn't our body really have all the answers? Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Like if we actually tune in, this sucker's amazing. So cool.
It really is. And
Yeah.
I mean, my business is all about, similar to you, it's like mindset and strategy. And at the end of the day, and I'm like, and what does your gut say? Like,
That's right.
where are you at? And what does your gut mean to everyone? Like, I know how it shows up in my body. I know when my body's talking to me. And sometimes that's part of the work is maybe these experiences that you're feeling symptomatically, I'm not a doctor, are symptoms of we're not investing our time where we want to be investing it. We're creating stress. How is that showing up in our bodies?
Yeah.
Honoring that voice, honoring our intuition, our gut, whatever you want to call it, but then also creating the time and space to actually honor our bodies is very, very important when we think of energy management, time management, being productive. It all starts and ends with what's going on in our bodies.
It does. It does. It's such a beautiful tool. I mean, wow, we've covered a lot of ground, but I will end. I will say, what I love us so much, Amber. Anytime you want to talk,
I was going to say, I see a third episode coming. Yes.
Oh my God, I love it so much. One of the things I do work on with my clients a lot is the power of our emotions, and how scared we can be of them. We're going back to what you're saying, like I'm feeling anxious. Oh God, I got to do more. I got to get something. Like we try to squish them down. It's almost like trying to shove a beach ball down into water. It doesn't go well, by the way. It keeps smacking you in the face. But like we do that with our emotions, right? When if we can flip that and understand the wisdom in our emotions and understand that they're here to actually love us and protect us, boy, does that change things. Because it's like, why am I sad? And you just feel the sadness. You can actually be in it. You actually can figure something out. I'm anxious. And like you said, I'm not investing my time or investing my money in the way that matters to me, that this is not aligned with what I said I wanted. And those emotions will hit you way before the logic, and your body will never lie to you. It will never lie. It will tell you the truth of what's going on. And that is so powerful. When we can really get that, that's incredibly powerful.
I think that's a really great place to wrap up, because I can just see that if we're coming from a place of scarcity in either time or money, our bodies know that we're in scarcity. You're chasing every opportunity because that's going to be the opportunity that creates the money, and the thinking and the lack thinking around money is creating lack of boundaries in your business. And you're doing all the things because there's never enough money, but also that's around our time, right? If we have no boundaries and we're stressed and we believe that there's never enough time, we're always chasing time. And our bodies know that too. Like literally both sides, full stop. You listening to this, me, you, but your bodies are telling you that something's out of alignment. And our businesses deserve us to show up our best. Like when we ask ourselves, what does our business need? Our businesses need us to show up our best, mentally, physically, energetically, to be able to make money and have time for the things that matter most.
I love it. It's so true. It's so true. And I think we've been given these gorgeous tools inside of our own bodies to really know when that's working and when it isn't. And boy, I'd be a big fat liar if I didn't say really financial wellness, like financial abundance, is tied to a regulated nervous system, to a nervous system that is heard and that is listened to and that's responded to and taken care of. And that is how, I mean, if somebody wants time and or money abundance, it's in your own body. And that might sound woo-woo. It is not. It is not. It's the source of everything is your body. Yeah.
I think you just shared with our audience our third episode topic.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I think that was a great transition to, I guess we're doing a third series to this. I do want to hear more about that. I'm very interested. I know what my own journey has been with my own health and energetic and like you said, nervous system, gut health, like you name it. I've been exploring it for these reasons.
Mhm.
And I would love to hear how that shows up in your arena or your life and vice versa.
Oh, I love it. Amber, I love it. I love it. And thank you so much for inviting me back. I could talk to you all day.
Of course. All right. So if our listeners didn't hear the first episode, we'll be sure to link out to that in the show notes, and I'll share with more about that. But if they want to learn more about you and your services and your coaching, where do they find that? And please feel free to share a little bit about how you do serve your clients. I actually do want you to share that.
Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah. So come on. It's just sarahwalton.com, and that's Sarah with an H. And I wish it was the Waltons like Walmart. It is not. Yeah, it's just like the Waltons on the family on TV. No, but it's at sarahwalton.com. Come on over. And there's lots of ways that you can sort of get into my world there. We have a YouTube channel, we have a podcast, but there's so many people right now. We're really developing our Abundance Academy. I've reworked it. Speaking of putting things out to the market and realizing there was something I really wanted to zone in on. And the Abundance Academy is 100% designed to get people to their first $100,000 year of revenue in their business profitably. Not $100,000 and they spent $2. No, profitably. Right. So we are really zoning in on that. And so that is super exciting. And then we are about to announce the upper echelon with Sarah for people who are hitting 250 and above and want to get closer to $1 million. So we're getting super excited about that.
Great. Well, we'll be sure to link out to your website and all the things. But Sarah, thank you so much for always having this conversation of like, gosh, I didn't know what we were going to talk about the first time, the second time. I have a idea of next time. Who knows where we're going to go? So stay tuned for part 3 of this conversation. Thank you so much for being here and always providing such value.
Oh, you bet, Amber. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you anytime.
Wasn't that such a great conversation with Sarah? I really have enjoyed all my conversations with her. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast, and I sure hope you enjoyed the conversation with Sarah as much as I did. But I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So, I think that a great place to start taking action from today's episode is by looking at your numbers. I mean, really look at them. Look at your calendar, or if you have it, your time tracking and your P&L. How did you actually invest time this year? Where did your money actually go? And here's the deal. Do not judge yourself. In fact, I want you to declare this as a judgment-free exercise. Because if you think that you're going to go into it feeling negatively and judging yourself, you're not actually likely to take action. I want you to just look. Because if you really want next year to be different, you're going to have to know where you're starting from. And there's no better time to get clear than right now, before you ever set a single goal for the next year. Because the truth is that you really need to know where you're at to determine the path to where you want to go, both in how you're investing your time and how you are handling your finances. So, go take a look. Dig into the numbers. Look at where you're actually investing your time, because you may think you know, but numbers do not lie. And if you are not tracking your time, maybe this is your sign that for 2026, you're going to begin tracking your time so that you truly have that data. And go check out your P&L. If you're already thinking about what you want to have different next year, that's good. It's December. I think by the time this episode airs, it's mid-December, December 8th. And if you are thinking 2026 is the year that you want more freedom, more profits, less stress, then I want you to know that setting goals and making resolutions alone probably are not going to get you there. In fact, I want you to think about how you set goals and your resolutions for 2025. Setting goals alone is not enough. You have to have the strategy. And I would argue you have to have the support. So, changing how you operate as a business owner is essential to align it with what you actually want with your goals and your resolutions. And that is exactly how I help my clients. And I do this through my one-on-one private coaching where we tackle the mindset and the strategy. So if you are ready to make next year actually different, to make that shift, and you no longer want to stumble through it and trying to figure it out by yourself, but really would like a business coach and a strategist on your side, then I think we should talk. It simply starts with scheduling a discovery call, and you can do that by heading on over to amberdelagarza.com/call. And lastly, if you've enjoyed this episode or you enjoy this podcast and you're tuning in week after week, the greatest gift that you can give me is to share it with a fellow business owner. Do not keep this resource as a secret for yourself. Share it far and wide with your business colleagues, with friends that you're having lunch with, talking business about. I would really appreciate you sharing either an individual episode or the podcast as a whole, letting them know that you find value in this podcast. So that's my Straight Talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.